Welcome, yogis. Thank you so much for joining me today. I'm so excited that you decided to share your practice with me. As always, please do whatever is right for your body. If you need a break, take a break. If you would like a challenge or you know of a variation on a pose, feel free. This is your practice, so you should make it work for you. Thank you to the Slow PD. Had a special guest appearance towards the end. I appreciate them keeping our parks and our city safe. To start today, let's lie down on our backs with our feet on the ground, knees towards the sky. Closing your eyes, relaxing, enjoying the sunshine if you're outside. Don't forget your sunscreen. Start to breathe as you relax, making the breath a little bit deeper, maybe a little bit longer. Noticing your surroundings as you breathe, noticing where you connect with the ground. Go ahead and bring one hand to your belly, one hand to your heart. Feel the breath. Feel the expansion as you inhale, the slight contraction as you exhale, lengthening the breath, starting in the pit of the stomach or the belly, right underneath your belly button. Notice your breath there. The belly button rises and falls. Make the next breath a little bit bigger, a little bit deeper, expanding the belly button first, then the diaphragm, right underneath the rib cage. Exhale, release the diaphragm, squeeze the belly button towards the spine. Inhale a little bit deeper, all the way from the belly button, through the diaphragm, and into the chest. On the exhale, collapsing the chest, squeezing the diaphragm, and then the belly button, almost as though the breath is creating a wave through the body. Continue to inhale, keeping the breaths long and deep, but balanced. So same amount of time inhaling, same amount of time exhaling. On your next breath, go ahead and take the hands to a T. And we're going to rock the knees side to side. Keep the feet wide towards the edges of the mat. Inhaling to one side. Exhaling using that natural contraction to come through center and then to the other side. So you're inhaling, feeling the expansion in the body, feeling that gentle twist, and exhaling using the natural contraction that pushes the air out of the body to also bring the knees back through center. So it should feel like you're working with your breath. It should feel very natural. Bring the knees to your chest and go ahead and give yourself a few rocks. You can go side to side if you'd like. I prefer up and down on the spine. Feels great. Nice little back massage, balancing for a moment, using your core, and eventually making your way forward to a forward fold. In your forward fold, go ahead and relax the head and the neck so that your gaze is right at your knees, not at your toes. Maybe soften the knees, maybe soften one knee at a time. It's not a particularly deep forward fold because it's the first one of the day. And if you're practicing in the morning, you're probably feeling a little stiff. On your next inhale, we're going to sweep the arms up, coming as tall as you can, reaching to the sky, and then exhaling using that natural contraction of the breath to come to prayer pose. Big inhale, shoulders to the ears, and then exhale down the back. Inhale, grow tall. Exhale, hinging at the hips, folding forward. Inhale, flatten the back. And then exhale, release everything down. Inhale, rise back up. Reverse swan dive. Exhale, squeeze and push the air out. Inhale, big shoulder roll, relaxing the shoulders down the back. Inhale up. Exhale, dive forward, rounding at the last moment. And then inhaling, flattening again. Bringing the hands to your shins if you need to as you get warmed up. On your next breath, we're going to step to plank. And instead of going through chaturanga, we're just going to flip the toes and open up to up dog. If that's too much, you can always drop the knees and do cobra instead. And then we're going to exhale, curl back to child's pose. Inhale, stretch forward to cow. And then now exhale, push back, down dog. Inhale, step forward, flattening the back, and coming all the way up to mountain. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale, big shoulder roll. We're not going through this flow super fast, taking our time. Inhale, mountain, and then exhale, dive. Inhale, half lift. Exhale, release. Plant the palms on the ground and just gently step to plank. Again, flipping the feet and coming into up dog or cobra. Skipping chaturanga if you want. It's a great way to let the chest recover. Push back through child's pose and then inhale through cow. Tuck the toes and push back to down dog. Stepping forward and inhaling up, mountain. Exhaling, hands to your heart center. Inhale, big sweep up. Exhale, dive forward, getting full range of motion with those shoulders. Inhaling, flat back. Exhale, release. And we'll step back with one foot, dropping the heel to the ground and lifting up to warrior one. Don't worry about which side, right, left, whatever feels natural to you. Just remember to do the other side next time. Come back down, stepping to plank. Again, cutting chaturanga, just going straight to up dog. Knees are off the ground until you exhale to curl back to child's pose. Inhale, big heart opener, sweeping forward to cow, and then exhaling, down dog. Inhale, that same leg that you were just working with reaches up and brings it forward, coming into warrior one on the other side. See, I told you it wouldn't matter which side you did first. Exhale, release the hands to the ground and step forward. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, squeeze all the air out, hands to your heart. Inhale. Exhale, dive forward, forward fold. Inhale, create that nice flat back, especially the lower back. Exhale, release, and step the other foot back. Heel to the ground, coming up to warrior two this time. Remember, doesn't matter which side, pick a side. Hips are nice and open. The deeper you sink into that front leg, the more openness you'll get in the back hip. Windmill the hands down and flip your feet, coming into up dog. Exhale, knees to the ground, curl back to child's pose. Hips barely tap the heels, and then inhale, sweep the heart open, cow. Exhale. Opposite foot comes up, split down dog. Bring the foot through on an exhale and windmill the hands up. Reach through the fingertips, create lots of length through the shoulders as well as through the hips. Windmill the hands to the ground and exhale, step forward. Inhale, reverse swan dive, reaching nice and tall, and then exhaling, hands to your heart. Inhale, take a shoulder roll. On your next inhale, hands rise up. Exhale, fold forward. Inhale, flat back, maybe noticing the fingertips can stay closer to the ground. Release, and step 1 foot back. Drop the heel again, warrior 1 first. Exhale, opening warrior 2. Noticing the difference between the hips as you transition, and then when you're ready, reaching forward, coming into bent-legged triangle. So you can keep the forearm on the knee, or you can drop the fingertips to the ground. Come back up, warrior 2, and then windmill the hands to the ground and step back to plank. You can always take the chaturanga if you prefer, or if you're like me and felt like skipping it today, up dog, exhaling child's pose. Still getting some chest work here, chest strength when you open up and come forward to cow, and then exhale, use your core to push back down dog. Split down dog first, and then bring that foot through. Windmill the hands up, warrior 2. When you're ready, exhale, forward, elbow to the knee or fingertips to the ground, bent-legged triangle. So that floating hand continues to reach straight up to the sky rather than reaching up over the head. Roll that top hip open, and then when you're ready, exhale back to warrior 2. Windmill the hands back down, and we're going to go ahead and step back to plank, flipping the toes, up dog. Exhale, curve the spine as you push to child's pose, and then inhale, using a little bit of strength in the upper body to come to cow. Exhale, down dog. Go ahead and step forward. You can jump if you'd prefer. Inhaling up to mountain, exhaling to your heart center. Inhale up, exhale, hinge forward, round the spine, and then notice the difference in the stretch in the back of the legs as you flatten. Round again. Step back and drop the heel towards the ground, coming to warrior 1 first. On an exhale, open up, warrior 2. Notice the difference in how that feels in your hips. Folding forward to your version of bent-legged triangle, keeping the shoulders stacked, open heart, lots of length in between the fingertips, and then drop the floating fingertips to the ground. You can come up onto the toes if you want. It might be easier if you have any kind of knee problems. And now we're going to do a twisted bent-legged triangle. So you are facing your front knee, reaching towards the sky, and now come up to crescent pose. So the foot, you're on the ball of the back foot. Step back to plank, flip the toes, and inhale, up dog. Exhale, curve the spine, reach hips to the heels, child's pose, and then inhale, open heart, cow. Tuck the toes, exhale, down dog. Inhale, pick up the other foot, and exhale, bring it through. Back heel to the ground, warrior 1 first, and then exhale, warrior 2. Whew, looks like it was a bit of a windy day. My hair is getting quite tousled. Fold forward on the exhale, coming to bent-legged triangle. If you keep the elbow on the knee, you'll get a little bit more length. If you bring the fingertips to the ground, make sure that top hip doesn't drop towards the ground. You want to keep the hips open. Floating hand comes to the ground, other hand rises up, so now you're in bent-legged triangle. And again, that back foot can come up off the ground, heel off the ground. Take away some of the pressure on the knee. And then come up to warrior 1. Release the hands and step forward. Relax the head and neck, and then inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Big shoulder roll. Inhale, reach up, lots of length. Keep that length as you hinge at the hips and fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, step back with 1 foot. Warrior One first. So you can see we're starting to build a little bit. Exhale, Warrior Two. Hips are nice and open. Lengthen the front leg and reach, reach, reach with that front hand. At the last moment when you can't reach anymore, let the arms tilt and reach the bottom hand towards your ankle. Top hand straight to the sky. To come out of it, tilt with the hands first and then squeeze with your core to come back to center. Windmill the hands down and step back. Plank first. Flipping the toes, opening the heart, up dog or cobra. Exhaling, curving back, child's pose. Inhale, curving forward, cow. And then tuck the toes, down dog. I love this flow with no chaturanga. Pick up one foot in split down dog and bring it through on the exhale. Starting with Warrior One. Hips square to the front of the mat. Notice how the hips open. It's not just the shoulders when you're transitioning to Warrior Two. Lengthen the front leg and reach, reach, reach before you tilt the hands. Use your core here. Triangle is not just about stretching that front leg. You really want to open up the heart as well and use your core to stabilize. You can see I'm not even resting my hand on my leg. That's very challenging. You can always rest your hand on your leg or a block. Let's windmill our hands back down to the ground and step forward. Forward fold, rising up, and then exhale, hands back to your heart. Inhale, big sweep up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, relax back to forward fold. Inhale, step back and rise up, Warrior One first. On an exhale, Warrior Two. Straighten the leg again and reach, 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 triangle. This time, however, we're going to go into Revolve Triangle. So after a breath or two in triangle, bring the floating hand to the ankle, square the hips off, and then open up the other hand. So you're facing the front leg. That floating hand can always come to your lower back instead if that's easier. Exhale, bend the front knee, coming back to Warrior One. Hands to the ground and step to plank. Flipping the feet, inhaling, opening the heart, up dog. Exhaling, rounding back, child's pose. Inhale, open the heart, curve forward, cow, and then exhale, down dog. Inhale, pick up one foot, and then bring that foot all the way through. Starting with Warrior One, heel to heel alignment. Exhaling, opening up the hips, walking that front foot to the center, and then lengthening the front leg and coming to triangle pose. Take as much time as you need in triangle pose to set up, find your balance, and then when you're ready, drop the floating hand, square the hips, and then twist, revolve triangle. The more you square the hips, the easier it will be to twist through the rest of your spine. Bend that front leg and come back to Warrior One, and then release. And we're going to step forward, forward fold, inhaling, flattening the back, coming up all the way to mountain pose, and then exhale, hands to your heart. Big shoulder roll. Inhale, hands come up. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. And then inhale, step one foot back. Starting with Warrior One. On an exhale, opening Warrior Two. And then exhale, coming first to extended side angle. elbow to the knee or fingertips to the ground. And then maybe trying a bind. So a bind can be very challenging here. The more you sink into the front leg, the easier it will be to wrap around. But the key is that you want your shoulders to still be open and perpendicular to the ground. If you can't keep them perpendicular, you might want to hold off on the bind for today. Go ahead and come back to warrior two, and then sweep the hands down to the ground and step back. Chaturanga if you'd like, or skip it like we are today and just go into the back bend of your choice. Soften the knees to the ground and exhale back to child's pose. Inhale, little bit of chest work there, opening up, and then exhaling to down dog. Inhale, split down dog, bringing that foot through so you're now facing the other direction of your mat, coming up to warrior one. Exhaling, warrior two. Big breath, exhaling, keeping the length in your sides as you come to extended side angle. Very, very similar to bent-legged triangle, just that the arm goes over the head, bicep to the ear. Again, trying for the bind if you want. You can always just hook that floating hand around your back. You don't have to bind. Release the bind and come back to warrior two. And then release the hands to the ground and step back. Oh, just kidding, step forward. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Inhale. Exhale, fold. Inhale, flatten the back. And release. And step back with the other foot. Warrior one first. I love this class. Very, very twisty, topsy-turvy. Warrior two, open the hips. And then reach forward with the torso to extended side angle. Binding if you'd like. You can always challenge yourself by bringing your gaze to the sky if that feels good on your neck. If not, you can look to the ground. Release the bind. And then we're going to open it up to the other side, giving ourselves a twisted option. So I like to come up onto the ball of my back foot. Gives me a little bit more room in my knee. You can either do a prayer twist, you can open up the arms for airplane arms, or as you can see here, I'm binding again. It's so much harder in the twisted version. Windmill back up to warrior one, and then release down to the ground. Step back to plank. Inhaling to up dog. Exhaling, curving back, really using the strength of the abs to create that curve. And then inhaling, cow pose. Exhale, down dog. Picking up the opposite foot and bringing it through. So now we're going to face the other side of our mat. Start with warrior one. And exhale, open up, warrior two. Keep the extension on either side as you reach forward to extended side angle. Maybe binding, keeping the shoulders open. That top shoulder is the troublemaker. It always wants to curve forward. Release the bind, and we're going to make our way into the twist. So again, coming up onto the ball of the back foot, you can do an easy twist with the hand on the inside of the foot. You can walk it to the outside of the foot. I don't show it here, but you can do a prayer twist if you'd like, or keep those arms open. Or you can do this twist with the bind. This one really challenges your balance. Release the bind. Back heel drops back to the ground. Inhale up to warrior one, and then release and step forward. Inhale, rise all the way up. And then exhale, squeeze the belly button to the spine. Prayer, big shoulder roll. Just taking an extra breath there. Inhale up. And exhale, release. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. Inhale, step one foot back, back heel to the ground, starting with warrior one. On an exhale, opening to warrior two, adjusting that front foot so the heel lines up with the back arch. And then we're gonna hop forward into half moon. So go ahead and come into half moon however you need to. If you can do it in one smooth hop, that's great. If you need to bring in that back leg quite a bit in order to shift forward, no worries. Use a block if you have it, and then slowly step back to warrior two. Windmill the hands down and inhale to plank. Flipping the feet, opening the heart. Exhaling, child's pose. Inhale, shoulders roll back, open the heart, cow, and then exhale, down dog. Opposite foot comes up, exhaling to bring it through. Warrior one on the other side. Exhale, open the shoulders, open the hips, warrior two. And then reach forward, half moon. Ooh, that side was much smoother. When you're in half moon, try to stack the hips and the shoulders. The shoulders might not be as challenging, but that top hip, especially if you have long legs like me, that top hip is really hard to get stacked. So use a block if you have it to elevate the upper body and give you a little bit more room. Up, see, even I fall over. It's all good. If you're not falling over, you're probably not doing yoga. Forward fold. Inhale all the way up to mountain. Exhale back to your heart. Inhale up. Exhale, fold. Everyone falls from time to time. Nobody gets it on their first try. Inhale, flat back. Exhale, release. And step back with the opposite side. Warrior one first. That sun in your eyes too. Whew, that can make it really challenging to balance. Open to warrior two. And hop forward, half moon pose. Because this class is full of twists, we're going to do a revolved half moon pose. So the floating hand will come down to the ground, square the hips to the ground, and open up the other hand. Oh, this looks amazing. I did good today. Usually that floating leg wants to drop, and you want to try to keep it parallel with the ground. Gently step back to warrior one, and then release the hands to the ground, and inhale, plank. Flipping the feet, opening up the front of the body, up dog, and then curving back, child's pose. Inhale, forward cow. Exhale, hips to the sky, down dog. Pick up the opposite foot, bring it all the way through. Warrior one on the other side. On an exhale, open up the body, warrior two, and then take a little hop, reach forward, half moon. Just staying in half moon for a moment or two. We're moving into the twisted part, so when you're ready, that floating hand is going to come down to the ground and lift the other hand. Reach up. Again, the more you can square the hips, the easier the twist will be. Floating leg stays as close to parallel to the ground as you can get it. Gently step back, warrior one, and then release the hands to the ground and all the way forward, forward fold. Inhale, rise up. Exhale, hands to your heart. Big shoulder roll. Inhale, reach, 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 keeping the abs in even as you reach. Exhale, hinge forward. And we're gonna have a little recovery time here. So if you want, you can wrap the elbows and just hang. If you're like me and you're sweating like crazy because you're working super hard, take some time to towel off, grab some water if you need it, and then come back to forward fold. Inhale, rise back up. Exhale, hands to your heart. So we're going to go into a little bit of balance here. Find your balance on one side and bring the floating foot behind you. So we're prepping for dancer pose. You can always stay right here if your balance is not great, trying to connect the knees. But if you want to challenge yourself, first push the foot into the hand. Once you've created that space between your back and the hand, then you can start to tilt forward. But really, the focus here should be on opening up behind you. Come back up, try to keep your balance as you transition, bringing the floating knee forward. And then we're going to hover and reach for the bottom of the foot. You can stay with the leg bent and just challenge your balance, or you can extend that floating leg and try to bring your forehead or your nose as close to your knee. Release, keep your balance as you transition back to upright, and then the foot comes to the ground. Inhale up, exhale, fold. Be really careful in those standing balances. Make sure you're not hyperextending the knee. And the best way to prevent that is to squeeze the quad. And when you squeeze the quad, it just slightly lifts the kneecap up and will help you keep a strong straight leg, but will help you prevent hyperextension. So now finding your balance on the other side. Other foot comes behind, reaching for the inside of the ankle or the foot. Staying in modified dancer if that's what works for you, or creating that space, hanging on to your balance. One side's always going to be a little different than the other. This side clearly was more challenging for me. And only tilting as far forward as you can while maintaining the space behind you. Keep your balance as you transition, releasing the foot and bringing the floating knee forward. Scooping in the belly and reaching for the bottom of that foot. Maybe keeping the knee bent, maybe extending. Being very careful not to hyperextend the standing leg. Falling as gracefully as possible. And then making your way back to standing. Floating the hands up and then folding forward. Walking out the knees, especially if you thought you were just the tiniest bit hyperextended. Really try to keep maybe a slight bend in your knee if you struggle with that. Step back to plank, soften the knees to the ground, and push to child's pose. Taking deep breaths here, breathing in through the back, and then rolling up to a seated position. Lift the hips up off the heels and prepare for camel. You can tuck the toes like I am, or you can keep the tops of the feet flat to the ground. Either way, bring the hands behind and slowly start to drop them down the backs of the thighs. You can stay there, or you can reach for the heels. But you want to make sure you continue to push the hip flexors into an imaginary wall, so your hips are right on top of your knees. It can be a really intense back bend, so if it's a little bit too much for you, keep those hands on the backs of the thighs or even the lower back. Come out of it, untuck the toes, and sit back to rest for a moment. And then fold forward, bringing the forehead to touch the kneecaps, the crown of the head towards the ground, and the hands wrap tightly around the heels. Lift the hips straight to the sky, coming into rabbit pose, keeping the weight in your hands rather than on your head. So you should feel a really nice stretch in the upper back. Roll back to seated, coming slightly forward on the mat and bringing your heels outside the hips, resting the hips to the ground if you can. If that's too much, you can always put a block under your hips. And then we're going to slowly transition back. So first, resting onto the hands, taking a moment to tuck the tailbone under, protect your back. maybe coming to the elbows, continuing to listen to your knees. This is extreme knee flexion, so if you have knee problems, probably don't want to go this deep. And then maybe laying all the way back. It's a really great quad and hip opener, but it's super intense. So if you have knee problems, there's no reason to go this far. And if you're not sure, take a moment in each variation to breathe before you transition to a more challenging version of the pose. And that'll give your body a moment to decide whether or not it's prepared to move on. Come back up slowly, first to the elbows, then to the hands, and then bring your weight forward and extend the feet out behind, 1 foot at a time. Trying to create a nice flat body, reaching out through the heel, maybe challenging your core by lifting the opposite arm, exhaling, tapping elbow to knee. Two, 3, maybe 4 times. Exhaling as you squeeze, inhaling, reaching in opposite directions. Opposite leg extends out. That should feel amazing on the back of your knee after fixed firm pose. Again, challenging your balance, your core strength, opposite arm lifts, and exhale to tap, inhale out. Again, 2 or 3 times, exhaling as the elbow and knee come together, inhaling, really reaching in opposite directions while maintaining that nice flat line, shooting energy out through the fingertips and the toes. Come back to tabletop, tuck the toes, and push to down dog. Feel free to stay in down dog, catch your breath if you need it, and then when you're ready, bring 1 foot forward, drop the back knee, and inhale, shine your heart forward. Exhale, shift the hips back, half splits. So we're going to rock back and forth between a modified lizard and half splits. And I want you to focus on what's tight for you. Are your hips tight, your quads tight, or your hamstrings tight? Whichever muscle is tight, that's where I want you to exhale. As you shift back and forth, create a little bit more space so that with each breath, you're coming closer and closer to splits or whatever variation you can do. Use your hands on either side for support. If you have blocks, bring the blocks under the hands. I don't have blocks today, but I love taking one block under that front leg close to the hip. That gives a lot of support, and I can bring my shoulders a little bit more upright. Slowly make your way back, walking the front foot in, the back knee in, continuing to breathe back and forth between half splits and that modified version of lizard pose. On your next breath, tuck the back toes, and we're going to step the front foot back to down dog. Take a breath or two here before we set up for the other side. Bring the other foot forward whenever you're ready, dropping the back knee. Add lots of cushion if you need to for that back knee. I was good today because I had the grass, but normally I would need to either fold up my mat or add a towel under my knee. My knees are very sensitive. Again, rocking back and forth, half splits. It's a little bit of a low lunge more than lizard, I suppose, but same idea, still opening up the hip and the quad of the back leg every time you shift forward, and opening up the hamstring of the front leg when you shift back, making that space a little bit bigger with each breath, and slowly making your way to splits. Now notice what's different about this side. Is this side easier? Is it more challenging? Maybe it's easier on the hamstring but harder on the hips. Just listen to your body and get into the habit of hearing what it has to say. Hearing when it's telling you to go a little bit harder, and hearing when it's telling you to recover. Start to walk the back knee in, the front heel in, still shifting between low lunge or lizard and half splits. As you start to close that space, make sure you're really shining the heart through with each low lunge or lizard pose. Go ahead and transition back to down dog, taking a breath or two. And now bring the opposite foot forward to the outside of your hand. And then walk that hand underneath slightly, the hand right behind the heel, and then maybe lift the heel off the ground. So we're not going into the arm balance today, but this is a really good prep for that. Start to prepare by strengthening the upper body. Drop the back knee, a little push up there. And then make your way back up to upright and swing that front foot back to down dog. When you're ready, opposite foot is going to come through to the outside of the hand. Walk that hand behind the calf, hooking the tricep underneath the hamstring and lifting the front leg. Focus first on just creating the same length and space that you felt in the splits, and then add the strength component, dropping the back knee if you need to, doing a little chaturanga or half push-up, building the strength to eventually come into the arm balance. Of course, if you can do the arm balance, go for it. And then make your way back to down dog. So drop to the knees and gently roll back over the heels. Come to a seated position, extending the legs out in front of you, staff pose. Big inhale with the shoulders, finding good posture, and then inhaling up and exhaling, folding out over the legs. Now, when you fold in this seated forward fold, reach with your belly button, not with your nose. So pretend there's a string from your toes to your belly button, and you're reaching your belly button in that direction, and that will help you have less of a round in the spine and have more of a focus in lengthening the back of the legs. Release the feet and curl yourself up to upright, and then one foot crosses over, coming into a seated twist. Back hand is there for support, and you can use the elbow over the knee as a little bit of leverage, but you want to make sure you're really still trying to turn from the strength of your core. Inhaling to lengthen the spine as much as possible, and then exhaling to create more of a twist. Come back to staff, inhaling up, exhaling, folding forward again, reaching the fingertips beyond the feet as much as possible. It's okay if you can't reach the toes. Remember, you're reaching with the belly button. Your belly button's never going to touch your toes anyways. And I believe this is where we have our mystery guest show up. Shall we say hi?
Hello.
Hello.
I saw you doing this the other day.
Yes.
Were you doing it for your clients to see what they how they do, or is it for yourself?
It's actually a YouTube video.
Oh, ruining your YouTube.
That's okay. It's perfect.
Hi YouTube. It's the police. Cool. Have fun.
Thank you. Have a good one.
I'll be honest, I thought I was in trouble there for a moment, but he was very, very nice. So let's go ahead and find our twist on the other side. Let's get back down to business here. Opposite leg is crossed over, knee up, back hand there for support, using your elbow for a little bit of leverage, but again, using your breath to twist. Release that elbow, coming back to the front, inhaling up, and then reaching forward again for one more seated forward fold. And hopefully you're noticing a little bit more length each time you repeat that forward fold. Forward folds are obviously great for your hamstrings, but if you have a tight back or pain in your lower back, often they can help with that too. Go ahead and release the feet, and we're going to curl down nice and slow to a supine position. Once you're on your back, go ahead and bring the hands to a T. We're going to do that same twist that we did at the beginning of class. Feet wide, dropping the knees over to one side, exhaling center, and then to the other side. I like this particular twist because it's very gentle on your lower back, and you get a lot of openness in the hip of the top leg, if you will. If you want a little bit more of a twist, you can always look in the opposite direction of your knees, if that feels comfortable on your neck. Come back to center and bring the knees towards your chest. No rocking this time. We're just going to give ourselves a lovely hug, squeezing the knees towards our forehead. Maybe taking a moment to tell yourself thank you. And then releasing back down, coming into Shavasana. The sun was so bright today. Having that towel over my eyes was amazing. But even if you're not in a setting that's really bright, sometimes it's nice to put either a towel or a weighted mask, something over your eyes to help your mind relax. There's something connected between having the ability to open your eyes that kind of keeps your mind a little bit more active. Here in Shavasana, we really want to just relax and recover. We want to let the blood flow freely through the body, let our body recover from all of the compression and extensions that we were doing through our class. But also, we really want to take this time to let our mind refresh too. So having those closed eyes, sealing ourselves off from some of the outside sensory experience can help us quiet the mind and find a little emotional or mental peace. Feel free to stay in Shavasana for as long as you'd like. Relax, breathe, enjoy the fruits of your practice. Thank you so much for spending your time with me today. I hope you enjoyed today's class. Namaste.